popped up. Foul ground. Long run for Heim. Nobody's going to get there.
Whoa. That fan. What is he doing? What is that clown doing? This guy's on top of the dugout and then loses it. Does the big tuna and then loses the 24-ouncer.
Okay, it seems like everyone's a little too jealous of old UT here.
No, that stops right now.
Who's gonna make me Davy Crockett?
Okay. All right. What he means is,
Freedom isn't free. No, there's a hefty fucking fee. And if you don't throw in your bucko 5, who will?
Recording live from three locations. This is Pass the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men. Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
Hey, want to get in the mix? I got a fresh set of kicks. I'm played for the Phoenix Suns. I graduated in 1991. Damn, that motherfucker older than the motherfucking moon plus the sun.
Who is that?
What? You don't know the legend of Riff Raff?
Oh, okay. I've never seen the most. I don't recognize athletes. I don't recognize artists. I don't
feel like Riff Raff's a very recognizable.
I don't know what
artist,
people
though.
look like most of the time if they weren't popular when I was like 10.
You never saw the Spring Breakers movie with James Franco?
No, I've not seen that.
James Franco.
It is James Franco.
Yeah, no, I said James Franklin at first.
Is it
I'm pretty
based
sure
on
he's
Riff
still
Raff?
coaching Penn State.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, his character's basically.
You know, literally, he even told Riff Raff, like, I'm modeling this after you. And Riff Raff was like, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Riff Raff is, say what you want, but that is one of the funniest humans ever, actually. I saw something being like, who could seriously listen to Riff Raff? And that's how I was reminded of this freestyle from a long time ago. Is someone was like, I don't give a fuck. This shit is funny. And posted that freestyle. And I was like, yeah.
It all depends on what you're listening. Yeah. Are you listening because you're like, oh, I think this is really good? Or you're listening because I like listening to it? And those are different things.
No.
Well, we're also joined by Caesar, a.k.a. LCs.
I just busted right inside him, and he can't extend on me anymore, and he seems a little overwhelmed by my girth and tonnage.
Oh, all right.
Because, I'm the director of the Fight Club, so I gotta put in some fight commentary.
Gotta know about his girth and whatever else he said.
Girth and
tonnage. That's what I thought, but then I was like, maybe it wasn't quite that. Yeah. So, fun week. Happy 4th of July, because that's probably when you're gonna first be able to hear this.
Everybody's gonna spend their 4th of July grilling, listening to Pass the Rock.
Yeah, the new national pastime.
We're proud to be an American, where at least we know we're free.
All right, Mr.
I'm just trying to engage with the audience, man. I'm trying to bring in. Look, we need to engage. We need to be ready for the next 4 years, and we're going to tap into some marketing and some audience.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I don't know how much basketball we can talk about without losing them.
I will stick to the white boys only.
Okay.
You just keep talking about their governors. It's fine.
And if I talk about LeBron, I'll just bring up everything he's done wrong.
Well, as far as this week goes, we'll start with. You know what I need now is to get some lightning bolt sounds. I forgot to do that.
Oh, like hell yeah! I feel like Zeus cracking down his whip.
Yeah. So what's happening this week? Some of the quicker things. I did last 2 weeks talk about cricket, so I should mention that India went ahead and won that T20 Cricket World Cup. Next item on the agenda: Dallas Stars made a couple roster changes. Right before free agency started, they traded the rights to Chris Tanev up to Toronto, where he's gonna sign for a bigger deal, longer term. I think that's the plan. A little annoying, like to keep him around, but gonna go ahead and trust the two-time reigning GM of the year that he's got a plan here.
He didn't help us win a title, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Push it.
Just what we had available the moment he was asking for it and all that.
Right.
Roddick Foxa got traded to St. Louis for some cash considerations, basically, to try to pay some other guys we do want to retain. A little sad. Fox is one of those guys where it's like, I kind of feel like he's one of those guys where it's he's a fan favorite, but if he's on your team making an impact, you're probably not winning the title anywhere. So I'm okay with moving on. Seems like a great guy. Fans love him. I love him. Whatever. We signed a couple of other people. I'm not entirely familiar with Colin Blackwell, who is likely going to be on the team because he didn't sign a two-way. Oh yeah, Scott Wedgwood left to go to Nashville. Nashville's gotten a couple of good free agents, so that's something to look out for next year in the NHL. They might turn some things around quickly over there. Still keeping in the NHL.
They're still named the Predators, which is a choice.
It's it's one of those things where is it their fault? Why should they change their name? That's the guy. Those are the guys who suck. But
you know what I mean. But they're
anyway,
the Predators nonetheless.
Speaking of lame names, the Seattle Kraken just hired the first ever female coach behind the bench in the National Hockey League, at least the first I've ever heard of. I believe it is the first. I think her name is Jessica Campbell. It'd be nice if this was a thing that wasn't noteworthy, but we can't get to that point without the first one. So, congratulations.
I have only one question about this.
Go ahead.
Am I the one fucking up? Or I don't know. It's coming in and out, but can you hear me well?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
You guys both froze after that.
No.
So I wasn't sure.
You're right. That was really poor timing on us. No, you're good on my
Does
end.
this lady have missing teeth?
No.
I don't think so, but it's possible. It's less likely in their game because fighting, at least as far as I've ever seen, has never been even allowed. At least in the
Is it
international.
just fighting? That it seems like hockey has a lot of ways for teeth to get knocked out.
Yeah, I don't think they go full goon in the women's game either. So it could still
I'm on
happen,
Google
obviously.
Images right now.
But from every game that I've ever watched, and that's been in, she's got all her teeth.
She's got all her teeth. There's a photo of her with a
Are
full
you sure
smile.
they're not fake though?
Yeah, that's what
lots of guys do wear
Well,
fake. fakes,
well, here's the thing. It does not appear that she's missing any teeth that we know of. Everything's intact.
I think that's the first question we
And
need
I
to
can't
ask.
speak to whatever the professional women's hockey league is currently in the U.S., but the only main
It's probably not the U.S. that there is the best league, right?
Well,
It's they're probably
probably
playing
Europe.
overseas
U.S. and
somewhere,
Canada, likely Canada most likely.
Sure.
Yes.
You sure there wouldn't be?
Yeah, go look at
anywhere
go
over
look.
in-
No, go look at
for
the
women's?
go look at the Olympic medals and see where everybody plays. Anyways,
where everybody plays.
but I
for
think I
professional.
believe I don't know if you understand what hockey is in Canada, but
No, I mean I get that. I just don't know the answer honestly.
I believe it would be Canada and the U.S. We have North America is where everyone's gonna get money because that's you also have to think of a country that has money to do something like that.
Well, there's not anywhere else, but yes, you are correct. It is the PWHL.
Yeah,
But
okay.
this is also, Google's not the best anymore.
No.
We're getting AI trying to tell me.
But anyways, the real point here being that every women's hockey game I've ever seen, they've worn the full cages, the glass cage, so they don't get pucks to the face.
If it makes you guys feel any better, it seems like yes, it is by a mile. Sweden and there's some other stuff going on.
You'll see Sweden and Finland
After
pop
that.
up.
But Sweden apparently seems to be the next place you would go.
Yeah. But anyways, that's like I said. It's nice to have the first one, and now we can hopefully hire more female coaches where it's not a story, that a female coach was hired, and the story is just the person that was hired. But anyways, next pre-Olympic notes. I forgot to write some of these down. I know that Alex Morgan's not going to be on the U.S. soccer roster for the first time since we've ever even been aware that
That's good or
team
bad,
exists.
but-
It's probably because she's old, but
14 years as a soccer player feels a
That's-
little light, right?
No, I mean not for World Cups.
Didn't Rapinoe and
some people do put on. It also probably depends on the role. I don't even know what
Wambach played for fucking
Is she a
years?
striker or is she a midfield? I don't know what she plays.
I guess that, and then when I read it, there was a lot of surprises. So I don't know. I don't want to talk out of my ass.
I think the
but
people
thought-
that are surprised are people like 98% of us who don't follow at all, and that's one name that we know of like 4. So
Well, she was supposed to be the youngster that
When
took
she's-
over as the face because Rapinoe and Wambach were on the way out whenever she came in, but that was 2010.
Well,
So this is.
I mean, she did kind of take on the role as like the main goal scorer.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, there is whose daughter is on the team that's really good. There's an NBA player's daughter that's on the team that's really good, right? I think Drew Holiday's wife retired a while ago.
I'm not exactly sure. It's been a long time since I've kept up with the team. But
I'm pretty sure somebody's Dennis Rodman.
okay.
Yeah. Dennis
Oh,
Rodman's
his daughter?
daughter is
there's
a part of the is part of them. I don't know if she made the team. I don't.
Is she? Did she keep her dad's last name, or is she going under
Yeah,
somebody else?
allegedly. Yeah, no, it says Tiffany Rodman, right? Or Trinity Rodman. Either way, are they? So they lost last time, right? Then they lost to Japan last time.
I don't know. Don't really
In the World
keep
Cup,
up,
no,
which
they,
is kind of
well,
the point here.
Well, yeah, but you also have to can't bury the lead when literally all of the world is upset about the men's coach again, and a tradition unlike any other, where the United States men's coach is the devil, and I see him being memed into existence with the great dictators of history's past.
Yeah.
Oh no, they lost to Sweden in the women's World Cup.
Sweden. Okay.
Yeah, so
there's
I got
a
it.
revenge tour here for the women's team.
Yeah, so I got it right
They
here.
were a pride and joy too.
Yeah, they had a goalless draw that ended in a 5-4 penalty shootout.
Yeah.
And it's the first, and that marked the first time since 2016 Summer Olympics that they didn't reach the semifinals of a major tournament. So this is definitely revenge tour, or the start of a revenge tour for the women's team.
So yeah, so Trinity Rodman is on the official roster. Otherwise, I definitely don't recognize his single name, but that's probably a good thing too. Maybe they're just trying to go in young if that's the situation and see what they can pull off. But I mean, I don't know. I just know from history's perspective that this is usually a pretty damn good part of our Olympic or World Cup or national stage. Let's put it that way. Our national athletic stage. We usually have our girls soccer team show out. So
Yeah, man.
hopefully that happens.
Our girls soccer team's been dominant for a really long time.
Football.
When we had softball, I mean, no one was touching us, obviously. So much so that they took the sport.
Australia was hanging around.
I could believe
Yeah,
that.
but
I could believe that.
It was
Yeah,
also
that feels
them,
like-
and that's why everyone
that feels
else
like
was
a softball-ass
everyone else was
country.
like, "Get this out of here."
Listen, they took the sport away from the Olympics because of the U.S.
I'm glad you mentioned that because they are talking about 2028 Olympics that are in LA. Softball and something else they said might be in Oklahoma City because they have better facilities for it. So there's
Omaha, maybe?
no,
Or not?
no,
Right?
no. Softball is Oklahoma. Omaha is baseball.
Right.
But yeah, so that's kind of cool. That might happen. Probably.
Could you imagine
cool.
all those European athletes coming into Oklahoma for the first time?
I mean, Oklahoma City's not. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure most of
they've
them
come a
are
long way
from
with Oklahoma
smaller places than Oklahoma City. Even if we
Listen.
think it's laughable.
Listen, they're gonna see their first Love's gas station and just wander on in and be
Well,
surprised.
my guess is they're
Well,
probably
there's
not
a
going to
subway
be.
right by the
They're not going to be
bathroom.
touring the state too much. But anyways, we'll move on to a couple of other notes here.
Oh, last thing with the Olympics, because this is what we're going to talk about in hoops next week. Yes, there will be more stuff to talk about potentially with basketball. It never sleeps. But the Olympics are where the focus is going to shift for everybody. WNBA is going to take a pause too. So July 10th, Team USA versus Canada. We get the first look at the guys. They're going to start practicing pretty soon, which is why some of the free agency news that we're going to talk about kind of got hatched out over the last couple of days, because most of these dudes that are going to be on that roster are going to want to know what their deal is before they start playing with Team USA. So Canada scrimmage in Vegas on the 10th, and then they're going to go to Abu Dhabi to do some scrimmages, and then they're going to go to London to do some scrimmages, all before they start group play. So, and all the teams they pick also, I think this is important: Canada, Australia, Serbia, South Sudan, Germany. None of those are cupcakes. None of those teams are complete. I know South Sudan sounds like it. the South Sudan is actually it's basically Luol Deng's pet project. And he's turned it into a pretty decent
he's grabbed
basketball
all of their
country.
elite athletes, basically.
He kind of has, bro. I'm not gonna lie. If you read about South Sudan, it's the newest country in Africa and everything. It's really like I was researching this for last year's FIBA.
All of a sudden,
it's really funny.
All of a sudden, next Olympics, LeBron James is a South Sudan resident.
I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but yeah, no, he's gonna make sure that South Sudan is at least competing every year if they're not Africa's best basketball country. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just wanted to tease all of that.
Smart. Yeah, and then I just thought it was worth acknowledging. This was supposed to be a quick one, but I misplaced how I put the emojis in the run sheet. As of July 1st, we are now in kind of the Power 4 era of the NCAA, especially in terms of football.
Don't talk about the All-State Big 12 16-team league.
I think I'm talking about the one that just completely doesn't exist anymore. So, around here, local parts, SMU kind of part of that now. They're in the ACC, which is hilarious.
Dude, SMU glowed up. They probably got the luckiest of all this realignment. SMU, you could make an argument.
It just makes sense with the money.
Yeah, I mean, they were a powerhouse. They were technically be a powerhouse again.
And the reason they were a powerhouse was the money. So it makes sense why they got to sneak in.
I mean, that was the low-key best.
If TCU is going to be in a big conference somewhere, SMU definitely.
But now TCU is little brother again in a way,
and they should be.
That's fucked up, but it's kind of funny. But it is funny. It is funny that how it's all come through in the last 20 years.
And then if you're like me, and even though you didn't previously root for an SEC team, you still like the YouTube channel SEC Shorts. We finally got our very first introduction of Texas and OU to the team, and that was fun.
Did you see how they introduced them on SEC Network?
No, God, no.
So I forgot that I had college football. Network. So I have college football.
I did download the Longhorn Network app, though.
Okay, well, I did. So I have it set to record because of the playoff, right? I usually wouldn't have it record every goddamn college football game that airs, right? Because that could get very
Murphy State versus Bowling Green.
It could get pretty crazy. So I probably need to change that before the season starts. But it pulls up
UA Juneau versus Hawaii.
It pulls up one of them on my list, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is college football populating on my recently recorded? And I click on it, and of course, the second it turned midnight or something, they turned on the last OU Texas game and put it on for the first.
I appreciate that. That's cool. They should have started with the last Texas versus A&M game, but
well, then Oklahoma would have felt shunned.
No, they would have thought that was funny too. The Aggies would have been upset.
The Aggies are already pretty upset. I think it's fair to say that if SMU is the winner, there is a pretty clear loser here, and it's not TCU.
No, it's fine. Just Big Brother coming to say hello, taking their baseball coach, and
it's like, hey, you got to remind them of their place in the hierarchy.
And you also have to realize, Oklahoma has terrorized them quite a bit as well.
Yes,
and this is not. Adding Oklahoma to this equation is also not that much more ideal for Texas.
Oklahoma is definitely like World War II Russia, just kind of we're the powerhouse. And,
because essentially that was the way it should be.
You guys can fight over the rest.
Before Alabama really destroyed the recruiting grounds, it was if Texas isn't dominating, Oklahoma will take the market. And Oklahoma will dominate what should be Texas's, and vice versa. And A&M was always leeching off of whatever they could pull.
They thought they were going to separate themselves, and they had a few years, and they didn't get it done. And now
they had over 12 years.
Investing in the Swagacopter was probably top 10 worst ideas in NCAA history.
What about creating a plaque for Jimbo Fisher's national championship? Just thinking all we're going to have to do is add a year to this someday.
That one I still don't feel like is as bad as the Swagacopter, because at least that fits Texas A&M's history. A&M sold out to do what they did for the Swagacopter era. They were the antithesis of what they should be and what they think they represent, just so that they could win a championship, and they never got close.
I think that makes them exactly what they think they are and what they represent. So, anyways, we'll we'll move on. There's also an NCAA football game coming out soon. Prepare for
That I
future
guess-
content with that.
Fuck me for. Yeah.
Yeah.
NCAA, baby.
If my girlfriend didn't have a PS5, I would not be able to play that game. So
Lucky you. I think as much as this interests me and intrigues me, I might be a holdout till the 26 game. Mostly because
it's not gonna be on PC. So
no, not that. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that. No, I will upgrade to the PS5, but not until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out.
I wonder if you can do like the PlayStation Play with it somehow, maybe, but I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Maybe. But yeah, no, I'm gonna hold out just until I see all the bugs kind of just.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's every video game. The launch of these games is always sinister.
But EA has been notorious the last decade of how bad their launches have been for their sports games, especially football. And granted, this is college football, and there's these expectations. Who knows how long they've actually been working on the game for? So maybe it'll come out and be relatively clean. But until then, right? Until I see it with my own eyes, I'm gonna wait. And then once I see that thing is running smoothly, I'm in.
No, and honestly,
UNT Dynasty.
You're smart for getting on this content game because really that's going to be the biggest boom in YouTube. YouTube is about to go nuts over NCAA gameplay.
Yeah,
people are going to have so much fun with that. It's definitely going to be a big deal.
And I'm going to run the wishbone offense with UNT to the tune of 10 straight national championships.
Bringing back the veer. Yeah, the thing North Texas is now most famous for. There we go.
Woo! Go Mean Green, baby.
All right. And then the last buzz topic, I guess, we did also have just yesterday or the day before Bobby Bonilla Day. For anyone who doesn't know what Bobby Bonilla Day is, back in 2000, he signed a deal for $5.9 million with the Mets. And then the Mets were like, we don't want to pay you this much money, but we will pay you like $1 million a year for the next 40 years. Or I don't really understand how that makes any sense to anybody, but I'm guessing what happened pretty quickly after is those guys sold the team and someone else owed Bobby Bonilla, $1 million a year. So yeah, and it's kind of.
It also could be the way that it works on the payroll because it got me looking into basketball and how what the kind of history looks like, and from my vantage points, what I pulled out is pretty obvious. But I'll let you finish before I show you.
Sure, yeah, I was just gonna run and throw some numbers at you guys. So yeah, he's gonna end up with $29.8 million off of what was supposed to be a $5.9 million contract with the Mets. Concurrently running with that. From 2004 to 2028, he's been paid by the Orioles $500,000 a year on a separate day. I'm assuming. I don't know. It might be the same day. And then there's kind of a history, going back. I think the first one ever in baseball was Bruce Sutter with the Atlanta Braves, 1984. He signed a 6-year deal for $9.1 million, which ended up netting him, after deferrals, $47 million because of a 12.3% interest.
Shit.
Now,
Nice.
they've curbed interest recently on these kind of deals. Strasburg is kind of one of the few guys recently who had any kind of interest on his. It was only 1%. Some other pretty big names, Brett Saberhagen, baseball legend, made $250,000 a year for 25 years. Ken Griffey, I think in 2009, after he had signed a deal at one point for $112.5 million, he deferred that in 2009, I think, with a 4% interest. So he's getting $5 million a year, which just finished. He deferred $112 million of his contract. I think that's how that worked. I got $5 million a year for 20 years or whatever.
Crazy, man.
Max Scherzer. 2015, he got $210 million delayed with a 0.5% interest, I think, with the Nats. Or no, half of his $210 million got deferred. DeGrom got $52.5 million deferred. Both of those guys are also currently on a major league roster still for our team, getting paid by other teams every year. Chris Sale, $50 million. Nolan Arenado, $50 million. And what's interesting about it is that the taxes on deferrals, and this is a big thing. This really became a big deal over the offseason. So Ohtani's contract, which had built-in deferrals already. The tax comes out of wherever you're living at the time. It doesn't look like a game check where it's based off where you were working. It's based off of whatever residence it's filed under for the taxes. So guys like Bonilla and Griffey live in Florida. They're not paying basically any tax on those dollars every year. Or at least they have residences in those states that are set up to make that income.
Nice.
So I know there's some people trying to work around that. I think the owners have gotten a little smarter with it lately. But this is pretty genius for the Dodgers because they will always have a couple spare million every year, no matter what. And then they can use the actual money they have, the big money to spend on other players. Pretty smart move since it's allowed by the CBA. And I don't know how this relates in basketball, so I'm going to let Jacob tell us some more about that.
So I know it's something that's dead money is something we're more familiar with in Caesar's specialty, right?
Yeah.
In the NFL, dead money is a very hot topic that usually gets brought up a lot. I'll let you do that if you have anything. So as I was digging through some of the basketball history, I couldn't really find any perfect answers here. So if there's a longer one, maybe in the annals of history that I haven't found yet, then I'm sorry. But some of the most recent versions of this, Kevin Garnett chose to defer money. He just stopped getting paid by the Celtics from retiring in 2016. That was sort of a rare thing. That's more like the Ohtani deal, like you were saying, not something that commonly happens. What's more common is guys like, or what has happened, the worst version, the Bobby Bonilla versions of this is Luol Deng with the Lakers and Josh Smith with the Pistons. Josh Smith in 2013 signed a massive contract with Detroit.
We shouldn't take away that Bobby Bonilla was actually a really, really good baseball player.
Josh Smith and Luol Deng were pretty good. He's
definitely better.
All-star level players.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he would go a little bit higher than that, maybe. Yeah, but
Bobby Bonilla might have had a Hall of Fame chance at one point.
I just want to make sure we give him more credit for. Yeah, he wasn't deferred because he wasn't playing well the first time with the Mets. It was because they just didn't have any money.
Again, some of these are not. Some of these are as simple as they wrong contracts.
I just worry when you start putting him in a conversation with Luol Deng or whoever you just said.
Hey, Luol Deng had a great NBA career. Josh Smith was an incredible talent and star. He just didn't quite live up to his expectations.
He also played in Atlanta, so
he did for a while, and probably is a part of why his maturation never really came to be. 2013 contract with Detroit did not get paid off until 2020. And then most famously, the Luol Deng contract of 2016. Remember, that's when the NBA got a bunch of money pumped in. Kevin Durant went to the Warriors. Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov signed max contracts with the Lakers because the Lakers were that desperate at the time. This is the post-Kobe year, first official post-Kobe year. So that contract stayed on their books until the 2022 season ended. Why that's significant is because it held a $5 million cap hit on their books every single year. So the first 4 years of LeBron James playing in a Laker uniform, they were down $5 million more than any other team in the league. That's an interesting part of it. It does not happen that often.
Yeah, I would say the big difference between why it would happen more in baseball is just no salary cap. So there's no such thing as dead money. It's just the payroll.
So it did get me looking at Spot Track and to see if what current, because I said all those are in the past now. They're all paid out officially, including Kevin, right? So I found that it's actually pretty common, dead money, these stretching things, but they come in a very funny way in the NBA. A lot of times they're guys like Jordan Goodwin for Brooklyn, to Josh Primo for the Clippers. We'll get to that kind of situation. Kennedy Chandler for Memphis. Ryan Rollins for Washington. Guys who were drafted and or acquired as decent prospects that never panned out and that they decided to move on from in lieu of roster space, trades, whatever, right? Usually the highest end here is about $2 million. Sometimes this is taking other people's money. Detroit has a cap hit for Dwayne Dedmon. That was because they took on his money. Ricky Rubio retired early, so the Cleveland Cavaliers, unfortunately, are stuck with $1.3 million. They got to pay him on the books this year. The Dallas Mavericks, unfortunately, have the longest, biggest active one at $2.2 million, to which they owe JaVale McGee at least until the 27-28 season.
Nice.
And yeah, Eric Bledsoe. Oh no, the longest one that I know exists, and I don't know when it ends. This one's a funny one. This one's a very deep cut. The Portland Trailblazers owe Didi Louzada, a Brazilian player that had a brief cup of coffee in the NBA. They owe him $270,000, and I don't see anybody have the exact day of when it's over. Oh, here we go. 7 seasons from 2022.
Okay.
So in Spot Track only had that going to 28-29 season, but my math tells me that I think that's either the last season or it'd be one more season after that.
Is that money that they have to pay him every year until that, or is that money that goes against their cap until?
So from the way I understood it, is that was the way it goes against the cap. Now 270,000, especially to a tanking team, literally doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, I think it also depends. There's a lot of things that, like as you said, KG had his built into a contract. Could depend.
Yeah.
I just was looking at that. Chris Bosh, when he was forced to retire, they still had to pay him for 6 years. But I don't think that went against their cap.
No, I think in those circumstances, you're going to get hardships, or you're going to get some sort of provision that'll allow you. But again, the Lakers didn't, because that was their fault, and they didn't have to do that with Mozgov, because they basically sent D'Lo to Brooklyn when he was a young player to have Brooklyn handle Mozgov's buyout. So that's just how the way this has sort of gone in the past. And I thought that was interesting. Caesar, if you want to talk about dead money all you want, you can. Ezekiel Elliott, I think, is the deadest money I've got on my books as far as I know for the Cowboys.
Right, so for dead money in the NFL, actually, the way that you described it in the NBA is not too dissimilar. So you have two types of dead money, right? So you have like void years, and then you just have dead money contracts. So for anybody who doesn't know what a void year is, so void years, this is the way that it works. I have an example up here. You have a player, let's say, gets signed for a 1-year, $7 million deal, and 6.75 of that's guaranteed, right? Well, your base salary could be, say, $1 million, and then you have, your roster bonuses and everything under that. Well, with the remaining money, you could stretch it out over the course of certain amounts of years to be applied towards your cap. However, that player is still going to get their money that year.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever is guaranteed, they're going to get that. But the application of the said contract towards their cap can be stretched out for as long as they can legally do, which I believe might be up to 5 years.
There's a pretty wide range.
And so you have a lot. And so the moment these void years are triggered into the cap is kind of essentially once that deal is done, the initial deal is done. So if it's a 1-year deal, right? The second that deal is done, all right, those void years start to kick in. And you start seeing teams get absolutely hammered by it who are repeat offenders of doing this. The biggest offenders in the NFL are going to be like the Rams and the Saints. However, the Rams, they're quickly turning things around, right? Because that's why you go.
This year, neither one of those teams is top half in dead cap.
Who's number one in dead cap?
No.
It's the Titans. They've got 31 million in dead cap this year.
See, but that dead cap is going to be a little bit something. It's going to be a little something different. That's part. Well, I guess the void years do add to your dead cap. One creates the other, basically. But yeah, that's.
But
as far as
looking at the
doing,
list, I would say it's not a good idea as an NFL team to have dead cap, because these aren't mostly quality teams. Cowboys at number 11.
Yeah, but you also got to look at it, not just this season, but you got to also look into the season.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this one season. Who's got what for this year? So
yeah, because those can fluctuate from year to year depending on how they structured.
Right, 1 year a quarterback all of a sudden gets 40 on there. That's gonna push it.
You would hope that there's some sort of provisions. Like if we're paying Van Der Esch, I hope that we get some sort of like benefit for him being. Well, I think he was a free agent anyway. Actually,
yeah, I don't think he was a medical retiree.
Yeah, for example, the Eagles usually skate by somehow by pushing the kicking the can down the road. But they do it in a way that just kind of works for them, where they may only have 1 or 2 seasons of let's just call it bad rosters, and then after that they're able to get back up just because of the way they structure contracts.
Yeah,
So
this
your
year,
smart
you
teams
guys are using less than
absolutely
3%.
understand how to. Yeah, but it's the future years that are gonna bug me because right now they're good.
I
They have
mean,
a healthy
yeah,
gap, but I
it's
believe
just it's
in the
it's-
next like 2-3 years.
Well, we've already
pretty-
seen the new
pretty
formula. The new formula in sports is spend now, have the next guy pay later.
Although I don't think the
Oh,
Eagles are
yeah.
selling
The
anytime
Boston
soon.
Celtics.
They teased
Hey,
that up, but
I'm just
I
saying,
got it.
you would think
Mr. Laurie, if you got to
You
do
think-
it, you got to do it.
you think Cuban's looking at that like, God damn it.
Oh, Cuban! I told you.
well,
I told
although
you
to be
a couple
fair-
months later.
Although to be fair, Cuban it wasn't like Cuban was like, I'm not gonna spend.
Yeah, he did the right thing. He
just
did the right
couldn't-
thing.
He just couldn't get the guys he wanted.
He did. The Cuban did the right thing, but I do think that there's some regrets on the more Cuban side of things. Just a little bit of, just a wee bit
Some
of
George
regret.
Lucas type regrets.
Yeah,
did
just
he
a
want
little
to
bit.
buy
Yeah,
the
honestly, for real.
I think he just. Yeah, I don't know if he actually knew he wasn't going to be involved at all, or.
No, like I said, I think he just drastically underestimated how much. I mean, the cap didn't spike incredibly, but like the money that they're projecting for the
Oh, yeah, when
rights
the
is,
regional
like,
networks
way
went
more
down-
than he ever thought.
When the regional networks went down, everyone kind of thought that was bad.
Yeah,
news,
we
so-
all did. We all did, and it turns out that that may not matter at all, really.
But we need our bread and circuses. So,
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to talk about, just a brief Rangers check in, because we had some cool things happen in the last week. Wyatt Langford, obviously the guy, the number one dude, the rookie. He hit for the cycle this week. Only the second ever Ranger to hit for the cycle as a rookie. And he became the first rookie ever to hit an inside the park home run, a grand slam, and hit for the cycle in their rookie season. So they're sending they're sending his cleats to Cooperstown. He's gonna
Unique
have
kid.
a little bit of an exhibit there, and he's coming on. He's coming on pretty good the last couple weeks, as is the team. After the 9-game losing streak, they've kind of bounced it back around a little bit.
They've gone back to being slightly above average,
Yeah, guys.
which is better.
Guys are
technically.
coming back. Scherzer had a great outing, his first and second. I saw Uvalde last night. He was incredible. And I also just want to show you guys my theme night.
Oh, you got the Peagle.
the Peagle hockey sweater.
Oh yeah, you got one of those. That was nice.
Is they all have the same number on the back?
Yeah, they got Garcia's number on the back of this one.
That makes
Or maybe
sense.
it's a Wyatt Johnston. I don't actually know who it's supposed to
We
be.
can't,
There's no.
we can't do the numbers.
It's 53.
Is that number
So
on
they
there?
were like, why not both?
Okay, we're just gonna believe it's
Probably at least it's 53
Well,
is
it's no,
unique,
because
but I guess you have both. right?
the Cowboys one is 88, so it's got to be Stars.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyways,
it's
so
just
yeah.
coincidental that 53 works for both.
Yeah, it's nice. It's too bad both Wyatts don't wear it. But Tyler Molly, who is a pickup, in the offseason injured, just made his first rehab start of the year at Round Rock, pitched 2 innings, didn't give up any runs. Cool. We might get him.
Did they say how many days that they were going to give him? Because two innings feels like they did the beginning.
Oh yeah, he was definitely on either an inning or pitch count. Just because it's his first time in a game in probably over a year or so.
Well, I need to pop a Molly because I'm sweating this season.
Hey, things are looking up. They're only 6 under 500 right now, so who knows?
That's still not
It's
good.
it's that's a
2015,
perspective.
2015 on July 22nd, we were still 9 games under 500, and we won the division that year, I think. So it can happen.
It's a lot of baseball.
They
games
just gotta
is the
win.
reason to be positive.
They got to get streaky. Now that they're getting back to being healthy, they just got to be more consistent. The offense has to be there every night. That's really, if the offense is there every night, all of a sudden, they only have to win, I think, like 65% of their games to get basically to where you would expect them to be competing for the division.
Bradford going to be back as a reserve role. That's kind of sexy in theory.
Look, there's a lot of things that could go well, especially considering the Mariners' history of just not really ever coming through, and the expanded playoff era that we're in now. There's a lot more opportunities just to squeak in, which we got lucky last year because of our losing in the last week of the season. Almost cost us everything. So there's that.
You do have 2 big negative stories. I'm assuming you got one of them at least. I think the other
The
one just
Josh
came
Young
official
delay?
before we got here. Yeah. That's
Until
definitely
after
the
the
biggest
All-Star
one.
break.
Yeah, it
which-
feels like it's been way too long.
That's fine. No, I mean,
No, I think the initial-
saddest part was the way he talked about it.
The problem is the
Like,
initial
ugh.
reporting was like they were just giving you the optimistic view of when he could be back, barring zero complications whatsoever.
But did you hear him say the whole 18 different timelines thing?
I don't know if I got the
that
exact
sounded
quote.
like a little bit of frustration coming
Well, I
through.
mean,
It's pretty cool,
it's-
dude.
yeah, it's got to be
So-
frustrating. You play baseball your whole life and you can barely even pick up a bat right now. So
Yeah, I mean, baby him. Might as well. If this season's going to give you anything, it's going to give you the luxury to baby the injuries. Even though Corey didn't tonight.
and it's not like Josh Smith has been doing a poor job of filling in or whatever, or
Yeah.
even Ezekiel Duran, who we're kind of trying to figure out what to do with him. Sometimes he's okay. He's at least not a liability defensively, I don't think, really. So, yeah, and there's some, Seager got hit, X-rays, MRIs, whatever, came back negative. That looks scary too. Fastball's
Of
in.
course, his stubborn ass is already back at the dish.
I mean, yeah, and he needs to be there. They need everyone.
Yeah, that part of me was like, yeah,
He gets
yes.
so
but
much
Part
money.
of me was
He needs to
part of
be
me
there
was
if he
like
can be there.
part of me was like, look, if you can give yourself a little mental break right now before we get all these guys healthy, I'm not that mad.
I'm pretty sure he's been injured more than not for this team. So
That's fair.
I don't mean to say that negatively, as like obviously he had a huge impact on us winning the World Series.
So then the last negative is something I don't know if you saw.
Yeah,
and I
did
don't know
not.
if it's 100% official, but I saw some tweets about
All-Star
it. from-
game
Yeah,
related. Yeah, the Rangers will not have a starter in the All-Star game at home this year. So I'm really glad that I bought a ticket and I get to go boo Altuve and Yordan Alvarez. But we do have the coaching staff and they get to fill out some of the reserves. So
Simeon and Smith, and that's it.
I wouldn't be well. I think bullpen might be where you get I think you might see.
Oh,
Kirby,
yeah, our pitch- we-
you might
yeah,
see
we
some
gotta have
Kirby
somebody.
Yates or some David Robertson in there.
If they wouldn't have fucked up so many of Nate's games, he'd be there.
Yeah, man, and I want to just say again because I told you guys this last night. That game I watched yesterday might be the single greatest pitching performance I've ever seen. 7 innings, no hit or 1 hit. Sorry, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs. He was just.
So you're not willing to trade Nate Uvalde for 3 of the best pitching prospects on the New York Yankees.
No, we don't need to do that right now.
Did you see that? You didn't see that there was a little viral TikTok people were roasting because it was the Yankees fan had made a TikTok about how they were going to give us 3 bullshit prospects for Uvalde right now, and they said somebody else. Who else? They said, oh, Robertson. Yeah, Robertson and Uvalde. And then they were like 3 prospects, and everybody was roasting the shit out of them. But the best part was all the comments of Yankee fans were like, "Fuck no, I would never do that trade, bro." I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
And honestly, both of those pitchers are pretty old, so anyway.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I would rather have them for sure than 3 guys that I'm gonna have to learn and hope for the future. No, I'm in buy now mode, no matter how stubborn and stupid that might be.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna wrap up my Rangers bit. Like I teased, I will be going to the All-Star game in a couple weeks. I'll have a report on that, and not next episode, but the one after that. And I'm gonna have some sort of surprise content next week, I believe, and I'll fill you guys in on that off the air. Yeah. So then now I will pass the rock on to Caesar.
This is Pass the Rock.
That's some cock.
Welcome to the NFL segment. Yeah, we're not passing whatever Becky just said.
One second.
Hey, also, just to let you guys know, it looks like I get to see Big Game Nate yet again on Sunday.
Oh, you're going Sunday? I'm gonna be there Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm excited
Nice.
for that. Very, very excited. Last
Good
time I
shit.
saw Nate play, it was the Houston beat the fucking piss out of him when he came back from injury last year.
I'm also excited. I get to go 4th of July, so I'm excited to see what the indoor fireworks celebration looks like.
Ooh, hopefully good.
All right, it's foosball. Foosball.
Yeah, sorry.
Foosball. Look, I'll even
foosball.
change the hat. Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my god. All right. Well, there's going to be very little Dallas Cowboys, if any.
It's okay. We're
sports
just
team
gonna.
talk.
This is what Jerry wants to be seen.
can find a
and
way.
heard, but it's just to be
Yeah.
seen here.
So for the first time since about the draft, I actually have something to talk about related to the league, right? That's not just the Fight Club.
Mhm.
And that is recently, just a few, I believe like 3 days ago, on June 17th. Sorry. No, not June 17th. Oh man, I got my dates all fucked up around here. It doesn't matter. So recently, the NFL was found guilty of breaking antitrust laws in its distribution of the Sunday Ticket package that's on DirecTV. So, for those of you who may not have heard about this, essentially what the NFL did with the Sunday Ticket, it was only available on DirecTV, and while it was on DirecTV, they were essentially charging an insane price for the package.
It was also that they weren't allowing it to have an add-on price once it did reach this year with YouTube TV, with whoever else the competitors are in that world. I have YouTube TV, so I'm ignorant to the rest. Hulu Live, right?
I
Is that
don't
still a
know.
thing?
I just have the internet, so I've got every game I want.
Yeah, I don't know how much this impacted Stream East.
Yeah, I don't think it impacted them too much. But yeah, so with the losing or being found guilty of breaking these antitrust laws, they have been ordered to pay nearly $5 billion, about $4.8 billion in damages to residential and commercial subscribers of the Sunday Ticket package. Although, there is going to be a lot of appeals and whatnot.
Could be. They may not appeal.
They may not appeal.
That would be the next step. Is where.
So here's how my understanding of how the payment is going to be distributed, and it's going to be through the teams themselves. So all 32 teams will have to pay this. So that's why there could be.
That means there's likely an appeal.
Yeah, that's what it means. That there's likely going to be an appeal because you tell 32 or I guess 31 billionaires and then one, whatever the fuck the Packers are doing. Hey, this is going to come out of your pockets. There's going to be some hell to pay from somewhere.
Yeah, I think their decision is it worth buying good PR to just pay it out and say we're sorry, or do we appeal this and take our money?
I don't think it's
the NFL.
I don't think it's any surprise that lots of guys in that position, both in the NFL or in all sports or just in life for that kind of money, are pretty open about their I'll just pay the fine.
Yeah, and that's why I would
if I'm going to make
that.
hundreds of billions and later you want to tell me I owe 4,
we have to give it perspective here, right?
So
the NHL, they provide smaller add-on packages if you already have YouTube TV or some other like product. This is a fair, normal means. Do you also have the part that ESPN played in this in your notes?
So I do have one thing. So I had that ESPN a while ago. I believe back in 2022 offered proposed offering Sunday Ticket for $70 per season with team-by-team packages.
It was likely the nail in the coffin for the court, in my opinion, because obviously they got to look at the league pass. They got to look at center ice. They got to say, okay, why can't you do this? And the NFL gives bullshit reason. Oh, our product is less games. Oh, our product is blah, 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 blah.
It's a premium service.
Then when ESPN, and also did they subpoena ESPN? Why did ESPN give up this information? Was this public and someone found it and brought it to the court? I'm very interested to know that. Yeah, literally, like, how the fuck did ESPN come into this? Because in the way I'm looking at it, it looks like ESPN was the nail in the coffin for them losing this. Because if this $70 a year, the $70 a season, extremely
that's
affordable.
just for one team, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
Was that just a one-team thing?
So that's what they were offering. Was
It's
$70
just for one, so
per
I could follow
season
the
with-
Cowboys if I was in Seattle.
Yeah, if you were out of
Can you imagine a bigger waste of money than paying for the team that's on Fox every single week? I guess it depends on your market.
You're right. You're right. No, you're right on that. But I was just using excuses. So yes, okay. So $70 for one team is a little less affordable, but it's a more affordable package than
if for games you're not going
$400
to watch.
Well, it's basically, I think when I had the opportunity to do it for last year, it was, I have a $70 a month package from YouTube TV. Now I have to add like either one-time $400 payment or like chunk it up into some other bullshit.
Just
and you're
build
like,
it into
no.
the monthly, yeah.
You're like, and then the monthly's going to get you worse. So you're just like, no, fuck this bullshit. It's crazy. I just pay for Red Zone now.
I'm just mostly surprised that I didn't realize the NFL actually owned Sunday Ticket. I thought DirecTV did.
And it was a partnership that they had, and that's why the partnership expanded last year.
So
and part of this lawsuit.
Does DirecTV pay part of these fines, or is it all? How does it all
No,
end up on the NFL?
it's-
I guess I
it just
need to
goes-
get into the court case and read some documents.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Even the
because
kind of
DirecTV wouldn't have had anything to do with YouTube TV's pricing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That would have been the
Yeah.
or the NFL that would have negotiated that.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure the NFL has a say in how much they want DirecTV to charge for the service itself. I don't think
Absolutely.
it's all just. So yeah, I think DirecTV just kind of gets, they just kind of get away with just being a part of it. but
They're
not
the
being-
ones that
DirecTV
the
probably
NFL
wouldn't-
lets offer it. So why are they
No,
not going to
and-
offer it? Yeah.
And let's be clear,
Right.
DirecTV might not still exist with the same power and gravitas had it not still held on to this property
Had every-
for as long as it did.
At every bar and
Yeah.
restaurant group not paid for NFL Sunday ticket every year.
We-
Yeah.
You just mentioned
That's
Bill
right.
Simmons, and he's the one I heard bitching about it the most. That it being on DirecTV, especially when Hulu Live came out, when YouTube TV came out, when Fubo came out, when all these like nicer, more modern streaming platform options of cable came out, you weren't going to be able to do this without the DirecTV bundle thing. And everyone was just like, why are you this stupid, NFL? And of course, it's not just stupidity, it's stubbornness is probably the best word.
I mean, it's the
Yeah.
It's an issue you'll run into in a lot of places where the people running things are a little too old to understand what's happening.
Like a whole
No.
country.
And speaking of a whole country, about 2 points. So, for those who are wondering who is affected by this lawsuit, who might see any money from this whenever that does eventually get distributed, you have 2.4 million residential subscribers and 48,000
Not this guy.
businesses.
I don't
Again,
get,
so we'll find out what all the checks are whenever Bill Simmons gets his,
I don't
right?
get my
Yeah.
I don't get my
And,
$1.50 check or whatever.
That's right. And basically, as long as you are included in this, if you had purchased Sunday ticket from June 17th, 2011 to February 7th, 2023. So if you were not within that
You know
time
what?
frame-
I might have purchased that once back in the day with some college funds money. You know what I'm saying? I might use some.
Oh,
But did you
Hey,
use
maybe.
your name?
I did.
Oh,
Oh,
or
there you
are they
go.
going to say it has to go back to the bank account that paid for it?
It would still. Oh, would it go to? Did I?
I
don't
don't
know
think
if I
that's
would
how that
use
works.
my UNT
I think
debit
you
card
get a
on
check.
that.
I think you get a personal check there.
But yeah, so that's
What
that's
address
a
do they
lot of
have?
people.
Well,
So
yeah, I
about-
think you got to fill out a form to even get the check.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Costs you more to
and
mail
let's
that
see.
in than it does to actually get anything back.
Now, here's the thing: for businesses, they're kind of more shit out of luck. So the jury awarded $4.7 billion to residential subscribers and $96 million to businesses. So, because right here it says, according to the AP News, because damages are trebled under federal antitrust laws, the NFL could end up being liable for $14.39 billion unless it reaches a settlement or it is reduced.
Yeah.
So-
Well, that's the answer. It's not paying that much money. They're a big corporation. They're not going to get the full penalty. That's not how America works.
Yeah, that's right. And then as far as how the NFL would be paying for this, so it would be split amongst 32 teams. They could pay out around $450 million each team. Some of these teams are not very
Cash rich.
cash strapped, cash rich. We're looking at teams like
Right.
the Raiders, for example,
Giants.
the Cincinnati Bengals. So just those are some teams right there that, listen, if there's going to be an appeal, it's going to come from
Hey,
teams like that.
I just got a text from Jerry and Steven. They want you to say the Cowboys because they have to do the Dak contract.
Well, see, there's a pie.
Yeah, those are. Well, I'll tell you what, Jerry.
we're right now, since we're working with a credit card.
All right, well, Jerry, you can shove that credit card up your ass and pay up.
Well, I
buddy.
think Malik Hooker had some opinions on how the Cowboys should use the credit card. What order? Should we get into Malik Hooker versus Micah Parsons?
What? I didn't.
Did
even
you
know
watch
we
the whole
were-
thing? Don't do that.
I got
It
more.
wasn't-
I got more than 2 minutes. It's not.
He literally says, "I'm cool with Micah doing it. It's just this right here that I don't like."
It's just this, and then goes on for
Did it
30
describe
minutes.
Micah? Kinda.
Then he said Micah Parsons hasn't proved anything yet. Sorry, there's a lot of funny stuff in there. It's like he had so many opportunities just to like chill out, and it's just. I think the funniest thing, and really the only thing worth mentioning, is that one of the very first things he says is how he just thinks it's weird that people go on podcasts and talk a bunch of shit, and then spends the
And
next
he's
40
talking a bunch
minutes
of
just doing that. And Keyshawn's just like, you don't have to answer me, but what about this?
Love
He's
it.
like, oh, yeah, no problem.
Look, you got to have vets making it awkward in the locker room, or else what else are you going to have?
Yeah, I just think it's a funny. I don't think it's. And honestly, what I was thinking about when I was listening to people talking about it. It's more likely to me that Malik Hooker's just doing it to troll Micah than anything because they are locker mates. So he's like, I just like fucking
yeah.
with the
Well,
guy.
and from what I understand, Malik Hooker's like the leader of the defense, more or less.
Yeah.
Where Micah might be the best player.
I mean, this is what you got to do. You got to publicly call out the good guy, the best guy, because you can't publicly call out someone who actually sucks. Because then everyone just
And he's a
mad
vet.
at you.
Malik Hooker's a former 5-star recruit.
He can't be
won a
like
championship, I think, in college.
Malik?
And then was one of the top safeties in the football before getting injured. And he's been pretty damn good for us.
Okay.
Maybe not that same level, but he's been pretty good.
That was
So I'm
my
just
brief
saying.
Cowboys SEO that I could get us force fed in there before we cram so much Lakers down you guys throw later.
Yeah, literally, we're just going to tie in how all 30 teams tie into the Lakers. You'll never believe how we tie in the Lakers to the Lakers.
Oh my god, I can't wait. And that's why my name is what it is today, pro in nepotism.
Well,
but
we have
anyway.
some fighting to do, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, that kind of sums it up. There should be more to this case as the days and weeks go on, but for the meantime, the NFL owes a bunch of money to a bunch of people. How they'll pay it, if they'll pay it, will remain to be seen. So
I want to see
whenever we get more,
because clearly a bunch of people who are owed money at some point will have died before they actually get to pay it out. I want to see someone's estate file for their $1.50 check.
well, you know what?
I mean, there's probably people that'll do that for you. I feel like there's
for a
somebody
fee,
who
absolutely.
scrunches off that life.
1,000%.
So if you have like 4.8 billion, right? Like, can we?
There's
just
also
do
like a
something
claims thing you can just do online where there's a Texas one where you can just type your name on there.
See if
and
you
be like,
are owed money for whatever reason.
yeah, and then you can I saw a bunch for my dead grandmother, and I was just like, ooh, it's
It always feels like the thing. I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys because you've led great lives. But whenever you don't pay your tickets and you get a warrant, and then someone calls you and they're like, "Hey, you want a cruise?" and you're like, "Not coming down there for that, bud."
That's hilarious. No, I've never had that call before.
Well,
Honestly, once the red light cameras were gone, they weren't gonna catch me no more. That was my biggest offense. Now they don't see my ass.
That's right.
I went missing after those things got taken down.
Well, the cameras, some of them are still there. They just don't charge you. They're not getting tickets.
They're still.
Yeah. And I just did some quick maths. Those people might get a decent payday. Some people might get a decent payday. If it's an equal distribution amongst all.
I hope I get a check for that one time I bought it in college.
I don't think it's an equal distribution among the amount of people who apply for it. I think it's about the amount of people that someone can prove subscribed, right? So there's going to be even if most people don't even ask for it, you're not going to get more.
Yeah, this is a bad time to subscribe to things as Mr. Pussyfart 45.
Big facts.
I mean, Sunday Ticket required a credit card tied to it. It's not like not like you're just.
I'm sorry, I
not like
have
you're
my
just
accounts in that name as well.
You're not creating an email.
That's facts. All right, y'all. Well, now it's time for.
I just busted right inside him, and he can't extend on me anymore, and he seems a little overwhelmed by my girth and tonnage.
Girth and tonnage.
Girth and tonnage, baby. That's what this episode's all about. Welcome to the Not So Sweet 16 bracket of the Head Coach Fight Club. We are here now, ready to see who is going to lay claim to the throne of Head Coach Fight Club. Now, today's episode, we're going to do two matchups. All right, we're going to have the 1 versus the 16 and the 7 versus the 10 seed. Regular rules apply in terms of spinning the wheel to determine what type of fight they're going to be in. So with that said, let's take a look at our combatants today. So in the 1 versus 16 matchup, I believe we all agreed we had this man right here, D'Amico Ryans, as the number 1 seed. He is the favorite, based on our deliberations, to advance to the final round.
It was a really
will he-
scientific process if you missed it.
I
Yes,
mean, it came down to him or Kevin O'Connell for number 1 overall.
Okay.
that is not true. That is not true. But anyway, and then our 16th seed, Kyle Shanahan. All right, look at him. Now there is some beauty in this matchup in that these two were once on the same coaching staff. D'Amico Ryans having orchestrated the ferocious defense the 49ers had during his tenure with
D'Amico
Kyle
Ryans
Shanahan.
having done his job, Kyle Shanahan not perhaps having done his job.
It depends on what school of thought you have, right? Now, we have our 7 and 10 seed. So, as we have it listed here, probably the most just lopsided matchup that we, well, maybe not the most lopsided matchup because you 1 versus 16, but for two guys who aren't separated by much in terms of seeding, if you ask one of our esteemed judges on this panel, this shouldn't be much of a fight, and that is going to be our 7th seed, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, because he's clearly
Oh,
going to
the
win,
Minnesota-
right?
Look how
Right.
happy he is to even be here.
Right. Kevin O'Connell, who won the NFC North, by the way. There's a reason he's in the 7th seed. He won the North, not because of me, but because of the people next to me. All right? And then you have the 10th seed, Mike Tomlin. Look at that career record. Last year, he made a lot of noise going through the loser's end
Final
of the
Four?
bracket. I believe he made it to our Final Four.
Yeah.
He has a 5-2 record. Look at that, 5'8", 210, built like a goddamn bulldog.
And he's
All right.
just underslotted here. Somehow he didn't win his division, and he has no
He-
business being in the bottom 16, but he had to be. So
Yeah, somebody had to be. It's a shame that he is here. He's
Who did win that
overqualified to
division?
be at the 10th seed. But you know what?
Harbaugh.
Doesn't
How did
matter.
John Harbaugh? Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Listen. If I remember correctly,
Kevin O'Connell has to fight Mike Tomlin because you guys somehow had John Harbaugh beating Mike Tomlin.
I don't remember John Harbaugh beating him.
Well, I know that
Oh,
I
mine's
wouldn't have
very-
done that. So
No, listen, we have the tape. We can always go back to see how that ended up happening.
Look, I think what makes this special is how unserious the first round goes, because then we get to this point and we're like, what the fuck? And then we try to apply logic, and it's like,
what
well,
did
that's
we
already
do?
gone.
What did we do?
Yeah, well, that's thrown out the window. So I feel like one of these matchups might be more competitive than the other. So we're going to save the competitive one for last. And I say competitive in quotes here. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the 1 and 16 matchup real quickly. We'll see how this goes, and we'll see what the wheel says for this first matchup.
Oh,
And as
that's
I
why you
skip-
switched. Sorry, I forgot to put
Yes.
the wheels over here. I was like, who keeps doing that and why? I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's I gotta.
It makes it harder for me to pull out any of my bag of tricks, you know?
Yeah.
So this one, gentlemen, might be one of the easiest matchups for us to try to speculate on, and it's this. This is what the wheel has determined will be the 1 versus 16 matchup.
Oof.
Fight on the field. That is right. These two gentlemen find themselves across from each other. So,
In that classic Texans 49ers matchup.
absolutely. This is definitely going to be more of a preseason
Two of the
matchup.
franchises of all time.
Dude, yeah.
Right.
One of the most storied and
And franchise. The Houston Texans, the most franchise of all time. All right. So where does this take place? I'm going to tell you where. This takes place during the preseason.
the Super
all right?
Bowl.
Nope. Because that would require the 49ers to get there again, and I don't see it. Not at all. So we have an out-of-conference preseason matchup between the 49ers and the Houston Texans. Now, let me tell you how I think this is going. It's preseason. You know, they got the dogs on the leash here. They're not going all out, but it's fucking Kyle Shanahan. The guy just has a broom up his ass at all times. Just never seems to be, having a good time, having a relaxed time ever. Look at his fucking his press conferences, okay? Somebody asked him a question about next season. You know what he's responded to that? He was like, well, I don't know if we'll be alive tomorrow. That lets you know where this man's head is at any given time. So, in this matchup, this is how I see things going, all right? It's 12-12. You got the third stringers in there already going into halftime. And as the teams make their way to the locker room, the coaches go to middle of the field to kind of have a quick catch up. Hey, coach, how you doing? It's been a while. And DeMeco Ryans, he makes an offhanded comment, because he's looking at the 49ers defense. It's like, man, they're not as sound as they used to be under me. Oh, no wonder Patrick Mahomes carved you guys up. Kyle Shanahan, he does not take lightly to that. All right. He immediately gets in DeMeco's face. DeMeco's just shooting the shit, just busting his old boss's balls up. And you know what happens? Kyle Shanahan, he grabs his clipboard, smacks DeMeco Ryan over the head with it. He's like, don't you dare disrespect me. Don't you dare disrespect me. But what he just did was awaken the beast inside. All right. Those playing days, that CTE activates inside of DeMeco Ryan. DeMeco Ryan takes a few steps back, immediately hits him with a shoulder tackle right into the sternum. It looks like a spear from Goldberg back in WCW. And then he just picks him up and just starts wailing on him. The refs come by. You got Ed Hockley, I believe that's the one with muscles. Mm-hmm. He tries to get him off of him. Can't. DeMeco Ryan is just an enraged, just livid man right now. They try to pull him away. He gets up. He does it himself. Kyle Shanahan looks up at him and he's like, that all you got? So we get a classic 1995 style tackle. Helmet to helmet, except neither man has a helmet. Kyle Shanahan dies on the spot. DeMeco Ryans is proving himself to be a dominant one seed in this year's tournament. That's how I see this going. I'm going to pass this matchup along to Patrick on this one for the next one.
Yeah, if we're gonna fight on the field, so I see. Got it. Okay. So the Texans are winning because it's a regular season game, and so they're gonna look pretty good. CJ Stroud firing on all cylinders. Kyle Shanahan's like, I didn't even know there was a team in Houston. He's mad. So he starts.
I was about to say, he coached.
He coached in Houston.
Was their OC for?
Doesn't matter.
No. He thought that was arena football. Matt Shaw?
Yeah. He's like, what am I at AAA now? Nah, he probably would have thought it's like single A rookie ball. Anyways, so yeah, he's getting mad. He doesn't like the way things are going. He's talking shit on the sideline, and he accidentally starts talking a little too loud, and his players can hear it, and then all of a sudden the Texans players can hear it, and they start coming back to the sideline like, hey, coach, this guy's talking some shit. And DeMeco Ryans is like, yeah, let him talk, whatever. Halftime, it's 42-0 Texans. Coming back out, Shanahan running out the tunnel, keeps running, just cold cocks, pops DeMeco Ryans in the face. Ryans has to go back to the locker room for just a second. They get it looked at. He comes back out for the fourth quarter. End of the game. It's 84-0 Texans. They win. They go to midfield. DeMeco Ryans extends his hand for a handshake. Kyle Shanahan spits on the ground. Doesn't spit on his hand, but he spits on the ground in front of him. Still pretty disrespectful, but a little bit less gross. and then D'Amico Ryans has had enough, and then just proceeds to wail on him for as long as it takes to kill Kyle Shanahan.
So we had an assault that the NFL did nothing about. Let the coach continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what did Myles Garrett get, like a game for hitting someone?
But he at least immediately was out of the game.
That's right.
In this situation, you got Kyle Shanahan acting like a 1970s basketball coach, smacking somebody and going back to the
Well,
sideline.
again, I think if we go back to ratings for games involving the Texans, the NFL could get away with not adjudicating this immediately.
All right, I see.
All right, Bethke.
Well, it's been decided, but
would you see it?
unfortunately, I think things would go differently. I think while you guys have a great idea of how this would go, I think you're both wrong, and you're allowed to be wrong in a majority. That's America.
I love going last when it doesn't matter.
So look, what happens here is a duel. Midfield on the San Francisco oval-shaped logo, they will have a sumo wrestling match.
And then George
It'll
T
be a
comes
little-
out and tackles both of them.
Is it the halftime of the game, or is this before or after?
Doesn't matter. The stands are full, though. Everybody's there. Everybody's having a great time.
All right, this is right before the game, then.
They think this, Kyle Shanahan knows that no matter what, they've changed the rules, but he's still going to lose. No matter what, that he is outmatched. How possibly could he get past this? Well, there's nothing he's going to do. As everyone's watching this fight begin, the competitors sizing each other up, a shadowy figure emerges from the tunnel. Oh, brother, I need to save the day.
Oh, no.
Nick
Bane?
Bosa, disguised
God.
as Bane, blows up the field and but before he did, in the sumo diaper is an expandable cushion for Kyle Shanahan to fall safely to the ground with.
Like
Unharmed.
it.
While an entire field falls on top of D'Amico Ryans.
So, in this instance, D'Amico Ryans loses, but not because of Kyle, because of somebody else.
Yes. Nick Bosa had to take matters into his own hands.
It's the first time that
Those
Nick
mob
Bosa has ever come
connections.
in clutch. First time a Bosa has come in clutch in such a situation. Well, as you could tell, the majority has ruled 2-1, surprisingly, in the favor of D'Amico Ryans. Moving on to the Elite Eight. Now, we're going to go to our 7 versus 10 matchup. It is O'Connor, and it is Tomlin. And they will be fighting, well, you'll see for yourself. It's a bar room
Thank God.
brawl, baby.
It's a ballroom blitz.
All right. So,
I
these
feel like
men-
we have definitely done this one a ton too, though.
Though the wheel loves the bar room. I don't understand it. It's supposed to be 1/6. Listen, one of these days, just watch. The final will be a joust. It's going
We
to
had
be
one,
underwhelming.
and it
We've
was
had a couple jousts. I don't
Right.
think there's any category we haven't got.
no. We've gotten everything at least once. I would have to
Everything
go
at
back.
least ones.
You know what? That'll be the next stat I put in the Fight Club sheet.
How many?
I gotta figure out what all the fights were.
each?
Which
It's been very few pro wrestling.
last year's
It's
gonna
been
be tough.
it's
We
been
didn't
a
do that.
couple anime. I feel like boxing is the one we've had the least.
I don't know. It started boxing heavy at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I'll let
Either
y'all
way,
know.
because either
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
get
we'll
back
find
on
out.
that.
We'll
Hopefully
test
by
it
next
out.
week.
We'll test it. But for now, we are at a bar room fight. So, all right, these two gentlemen, I don't know when they would have intersected at all in their careers. I just don't think they've ever really crossed paths. So, yet again,
think
I'm
we've-
taking this to an
No, O'Connell hasn't been coach playing the Steelers yet.
O'Connell. So, he might have played against the Steelers when he was a member of the Jets. But, I mean, how often do, third string QBs ever actually talk to the opposing head coach? We don't know. But these two gentlemen, you know what? They're present in, this time, they're not in Indy. This time they're in Arizona. For whatever reason, they accompanied the owners for the owners' meetings. They're present there. All right. They're not really interacting too much during the meetings themselves. Of course, the owners are all just talking bullshit about new rule changes, new league changes that nobody's a fan of except them. And you know what? The coaches, they get bored. They go down to the convention lobby. There just so happens to be a bar right then and there selling overpriced cocktails, overpriced beers. Now, I look at Tomlin. Tomlin looks to me that he can down a couple beers, all right? All right, I'd see him and he's like, you know what? He probably, if he was from Texas, I could see him taking down a bunch of shots. I don't know what the equivalent is for Arizona, but fuck it. He's drinking some regional beer down
You don't
there.
think he's gotten whatever Pittsburgh's beer is at this point as his...
I mean, if they have a beer, right? Like, that sells nationally or remotely nationally, doesn't matter. Either way, I could see him down, a couple pints here and there. I look at O'Connell and I'm like, you know what? This guy, he's doing Tito's and tonic with a lime on the rim. All right, he's not doing a double. He's doing a single.
Youngling is not necessarily Pittsburgh specific, but it's Pennsylvania. Sorry.
All right, so then he's,
the top selling beer in the world.
Yingling, so he's doing Yingling, right? Absolutely pounding the Yinglings back. And then you have O'Connell just, again, sipping. He's sipping on his Tito's and tonic through two little thin straws, all right?
Sipping on some Tito's.
Sip, right? And they're just shooting the shit as coaches will do. But you know what? There's just something that just bugs Mike Tomlin about Kevin. It just something just doesn't sit right with him. Right? He looks at this tall, lanky man. He's like, man, you just kind of strike me as soft. And this is drunk Mike Tomlin talking. He's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, oh, no, don't take that any offense. You just don't strike me as, a Midwestern guy. You got too much of that California in you. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, it's like Will Ferrell said. Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Yeah.
And it gets the people going. Well, this gets Kevin O'Connell's blood going. All right. He does not take those words too kindly, and he spills his drink. He grabs his drink and he spills it in Mike Tomlin's face. He's like, how dare you, sir? That was the wrong move, buddy. You may have the height advantage. You may have the length advantage, but you do not have the girth advantage. All right? And he's going to overwhelm O'Connell with his girth and his tonnage. All right? He has a low center of gravity. He's built like a goddamn bulldog. So he immediately grabs his bar stool, throws it at Kevin O'Connell's head. Kevin goes to block, and what does Mike Tomlin do? Like a seasoned vet, he goes for the legs, right? Because how do you take away somebody's height advantage? By bringing them to the ground. Takes him to the ground, dumps it on his head, grabs those bottles of Yingling that he's been throwing back, and just busts it on Kevin O'Connell's head. And he just starts pounding him. And that is it, baby. It is a 1, 2, 3.
So you're saying a bottle being broken over the head is the KO for you?
It's the KO right there.
All right. I mean, that's fair. It is a barroom brawl.
It's not Roadhouse. Come on.
Yeah.
Real life,
no.
someone breaks a bottle over your head, you're probably going down.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a liquor bottle, right?
Yep. And
fucking
I'm
heavy
gonna
ass Jack
pass.
bottle.
I'm gonna pass this along, Patrick, because I feel like I know where he might go in this fight.
For entertainment purposes, this is probably the correct order to do this in. So yeah, I mean, very kind of similar situation here. Guys at a bar. I don't necessarily see them as hanging out together though. They're just both at the same bar. It's NFL coaches, kind of a mixer, if you will. I've never been to anything called a mixer, so I don't actually know what that means besides actually a party. But I assume it means something. You're mixing something. Drugs.
Usually like icebreaker things.
Yeah, it's a mixture of people.
Yeah,
you
you
don't
mix
know.
people and then you do icebreaker things to make them talk.
So it's just a way to have a party without calling it a party.
It's like a party where no one knows each other, and you try to fix that awkwardly.
Okay, fair
Yes.
enough. Okay, that actually does make a little sense. Anyways, yeah, so all the coaches are hanging out. They're shooting, they're drinking. The ones that do, I'm sure there's some that don't. But anyways, guys are getting riled up, and they break into a what if conversation. Well, what would happen if? What do you guys think would happen if Jimmy Johnson and Bill Belichick fought on the field? And they're breaking it down. I don't know why anyone would want to do these kind of crazy hypotheticals or think about it, but that's what these coaches are doing. They're breaking down hypotheticals of past coaches. And then someone decides to let's talk current coaches. Let's talk about us here. Let's change this up a little bit. And someone's like, yeah, what if Mike, pointing at Tomlin, what if Mike fought Kevin, KOC? And everyone's just laughing. And Tomlin's like, I'd end him. Pretty serious. And Kevin, not really usually one of these guys. He gets offended. He's kind of like, well, what do you mean? Let's go. We got a ring right here. Because this is the bar with the boxing ring, like most of them have in them. And
you want to face this guy scorned.
So their bar fight actually is going to take place inside of a boxing ring. And what Tomlin might not remember is Kevin O'Connell. He's a bit of a quick-footed guy. I think he ran like a 4.6 40 at the combine. Not slow.
15 years ago.
Second only to Josh Johnson in the quarterbacks. So must be
Was
good.
it the 2008 draft?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, they strap him on. They get going, and Tomlin quickly realizes this is gonna be a little tougher than he thought. O'Connell's quick. He can get away from the clutches. He's got a reach where he can kind of keep you away. He's not really landing any powerful blows, but all of a sudden Tomlin's thinking this is a real fight. I gotta work a little bit here. It's not as automatic as I thought. They go a couple rounds. Tomlin does get some good, when he gets him good. But Kevin's hanging in there. He's doing fine. And then about round 4 or 5, you just start to see it. Tomlin's wearing down. And Kevin's just kind of the same. Stupid grin on his face, jogging around, making jokes. And eventually it's just too much for Tomlin. He just kind of collapses out of exhaustion. And Kevin O'Connell, without really doing much, he wins the bar fight.
It's beautiful.
So
Interesting.
that gives us a 1-1 tie.
It is now in the capable hands of Jacob Bethke, our esteemed judge on this panel, to decide how he thinks this fight will turn out. Bethke, the floor is yours.
Kevin, if
Very
you're watching this,
simple.
you're welcome. I got you
Very
as far as I
simple.
could, bud.
Very simple setting here. Just we're looking at a dreary bar. There doesn't have to be any sort of NFL reason here. There's just two guys at a bar, two fellas passing each other in the night. One guy's already at the bar, the other guy's walking up to the bar. O'Connell, he's sitting at the bar. He's been there for a bit. Mike Tomlin walks in. Unbeknownst to him, walks next to literally the chair next to O'Connell and orders a cranberry vodka. O'Connell looks at him and says, "What, you on your period?" Mike Tomlin smashes the glass over his head, instantly knocking him out. And the whole bar looks at him and says, "You know who that is? That's the Minnesota Vikings head coach." And Tomlin just looks at him and says, "You can get a new one." And he goes on with his day.
And with a score of 2-1, in one of the quickest bouts we have seen in head coach fight history, to decide who advances, Mike Tomlin, you get to continue your journey in the Elite Eight. He is upset, quote unquote, the 7th seed, Kevin O'Connell, KOC, who has been TKO'd from this tournament. And that
It's
will
tough life.
conclude. It is tough life. And that will conclude the Head Coach Fight Club portion of today's program. Tune in next week to see who will get to fight and continue on. And hopefully you too will be able to say,
And I've been waiting, baby.
All right. Hopefully by next week I can remember to fix the volume on that clip.
Yeah, I could have done that when I cut it down, but
Jesus,
I definitely didn't
that
think
was
about
so
it.
loud every time. Well, you don't know until you put it in here because it's like without the context. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that one I knew was kind of loud, but I just didn't think about it. And then I was like, oh shit, it's really loud. And now
You
it's
know
just
which
a thing.
I wish this one was a little louder.
I'm gonna get my Aprilla.
Oh, wait.
You're clicking too much.
Who's clicking it
I'm
now?
gonna get my Aprilla out and do burnouts on your front lawn, and then I'm gonna chuck mud bombs at your nan's windows, you silly bastards.
You silly bastard.
The guy behind him just casually just taking it in is also a good part of that clip.
You need to have good background, guys.
You do. You do. A lot of teams looking for new background guys in the National Basketball Association. And we will also.
What a transition. What a segue.
Thank you.